Alright, time for another booster set prediction, this time on V Special Series 9 and 10, Clan Selection Booster Plus, Volume 1 and 2. So like all of them, I'm going to be predicting the most likely cards that will appear in this set, and seeing that this set has 48 reprints, and a total of 84 cards, meaning 36 of them are going to be completely new cards, 3 for each clan. I think a majority of them are going to be boss units. If there's still one to be remade, I think it will likely appear. If there's not, then I think it will be a completely new unit for existing deck. And before we get started, I am not going to do one on Twinkling Melody because I don't know enough about Bermuda. And in many cases, they make completely new units for Bermuda as well. So other than that, let's begin with the Clan Selection Plus boosters. So let's begin with the United Sanctuary Royal Paladin. We already know about Ashley, which I believe is going to be a generic deck, and also a budget option since we still kind of need one. Thingsaver Dragon, still bothers me that we have Soul Saver and Arc Saver but not Thingsaver. A new Alfred unit, mainly Alfred XC for final Alfred unit. Transcending the Heaven Alt Mile for the final Alt Mile unit. And finally White Dragon Knight Pendragon for the Sanctuary Guard deck. And then we move on to OTT. For the decks relating to Misaki, there's really no new units to remake, but I do see the possibility of a new Tsukiyomi and a new Magus. And then for other archetypes, I'll say a new Susano is likely, and maybe some Battle Sisters. And then for Shadow Paladins, Drag Ruler Phantom or Raging Form Dragon for the Blaster Dark deck, unless if they want to make Raging Form Dragon in its own identity. Phantom Blaster Abyss, whether it's for the Blaster Dark deck or final Phantom Blaster unit. Witch Fianna, because Turnabout is a thing, and we should really bring back the Quadra Knights. Aura Geyser Dragon and Doom for Cleric Sword support. And Drag Strider Luard as the final Luard unit. And then for Gold Paladin, Grand Azel Scissors. This can be the final unit for Azel and could be essentially the same thing as the Cross, paralleling each other. And evolve Gurguit, and Bluish Flame Liberator, Prominence, Core, and Glare. Although I see Core as more likely as it's a direct evolve form of Percival, and Glare is the full powered form. But either one works. And we also cannot forget about Spectro Duke Dragon. Whether they decide to make it Shadows or not, doesn't really matter to me. And then we go to Angel Feathers. Not too many units, but I think Ramio might be one of them for a Celestial deck. And evolve Garvale, because why not? Shem's Child, and maybe a new Makath Melik, because main antagonists have to have their own evolved form as well. And finally, Genesis, Angelica and Minerva, Fortuna, and evolve Fenrir, and Amaruta, and maybe a new Astro Poet as well, because why not? And now to Dragon Empire, our first clan is obviously Kaigoro. We already know about Dauntless, which I believe will be a budget option for Kaigoro because they kind of need one. Blazing Flare Dragon, Vortex Dragon Newt, and maybe Dragonic Overlord the Ace as the final Overlord unit, even though the Cross works as a final Overlord unit. A new Blade Master, Demjin, and Ziegenberg. They could just remake Demjin into Defensive Grade 3, and Ziegenberg as the final boss unit, why not? And Blockade along with Blockade Inferno. And then for New Batama, we of course know about the new Akatsuki Hanzo, and then we might get Shiranui Orboro. Mugen Lord can also work as a final boss unit for the Shiranui deck, but other than that, there's really not much for New Batama. And now to Tachikaze, there really isn't much other than maybe a new Gaia and Tyranno Legend, but there's not much for Tachikaze. And then we go to Murakumo, maybe a new Yasue, and a new Dueling Dragon. And maybe a new Hyuga as well, but there's not much for Murakumo either. And finally, Narukami. We know about the Blood, most likely a budget option, because regular Vermilion is just a regular double rare and it's not that great compared to other cards in Narukami in Standard. Tempest Bolt Dragon, Big Bang Knuckle Dragon and Buster, another evolved Dragonic Vanquisher, and that's about it for Narukami. And then to Stargate, we start off with Nova Grapplers of course, Immortal Ishura Kaiser, Mega Flare for the Riser deck, BSTD Ethics Buster, a new evolved Victor, and maybe a new God Hand Dragon because Akatsuki Hanzo has one, And Rive being the opposition rival, he should also have a new God Hand Dragon. And now to Dimensional Police, Dai Kaiser. We need Daiusha and Dai Kaiser standing side by side. Enigman Storm, Galactic Beast Seal for a villain archetype in Dimensional Police. A new Metalborg Sinbuster for turnabout purposes. And an evolved Grand Gallop. And finally to Link Joker, we of course see Chaos Breaker Dragon, which I believe will support the Cyber Dragon playstyle of what I call Vanishing Lock, because direct locking on your opponent is not a good idea to make a healthy game state. Nebula Lord Dragon, Infinite Zero Dragon, Blaster Joker and Photon, Dante Deleter Oxus as the final deleter unit, a new Brant unit, one that can manipulate your opponent's top deck and nullify your opponent's trigger power, and finally, Amnesty Messiah, Exilix Messiah, or Harmonix Neo Messiah as the final boss units for the Messiah deck. And now to Dark Zone, we go to Spike Brother, Skydiver, Dudley Emperor, Grateful Catapult, and maybe an Evolved Rising unit. Not much for Spike Brothers. For Dark Irregulars, Almon, although I do see it kind of unlikely considering that someone told me that they want to respect the artist when it came to Almon, so they might not remake it. Steel Vampire, Dark Lord Abyss, Blade Wing Reiji for a budget option, and Evolved Shadowrot, and finally Evil God Bishop Gas-Steel. For Pale Moon, maybe a new Lukier unit, a new Nightmare Doll unit for the Nightmare Doll deck, and maybe an Evolved Harry unit. And finally to Gear Chronicle, Chronos Command Dragon. It was teased in Vanguard If, so they got to make it now. Chrono Dragon Gear Groovy as the final Chrono Jet unit, and Chrono Tiger Gear Glare as the final Chrono Tiger unit. But not much for Gear Chronicle, despite being the big clan. And now to Megalanica. We start off with Grand Blue, of course, with a completely new unit, which is a Ghosty Beatrice. Other cards I see for Grand Blue is Ralceris Pilanor, and maybe a new 7 Seas unit. And also maybe a Evolved Night Rose. Not much for Grand Blue. And then we go to Bermuda. I'm going to skip this one. Mainly because we still have Twinkling Melody, and I don't know what they're going to put in that one too. And then we go to another big one, Aqua Force. Tetra Drive Dragon, maybe a new Maelstrom unit to parallel the cross, Transcore Dragon, an Evolved Davos, and finally Blue Wave Marshal Valios. And finally to our final nation, Zoo. We start off with Mega Colony. There really isn't much for Mega Colony. At most, Master Beetle, Darkface Achilles, and Overwhelm, and maybe a new machining unit. And then for Great Nature, we could get a new Polaris, Chat Noir, and maybe a new Isabel, along with a new Leopold, and also an evolved Big Belly. And then we go to Neo Nectar, a new Arbros Dragon, new Musketeer Cecilia, and then probably Rhinoculus of Glorious Bloom Asha as the final boss unit for Asha. And also the original form of Maiden of Venus Trap, the same they did with Hockey Vogue. And that should be the last of it. So that's it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Probably the longest booster set prediction video I have because this one's doing all the clans. And what do you guys think will be in the set in general? Do you guys think that it's going to just support one specific deck? Or they're just going to put the remaining boss units that just support existing decks? I think they're going to put more boss units, both existing and new ones, for existing decks. And tell me below what you guys think about these two sets in general. Are you excited or not? Me, I am definitely excited because this is giving me the remaining boss units, most likely, of clans I play. Sure, I might get it or not, but I am still excited overall. But other than that, have a nice day.